All right, welcome everybody. This is the credit repair pathway to home ownership. My name is Jason Jones. I'm a realtor with Sampson Properties, and we are here with Lori Woodruff. She's a credit specialist. So she's gonna let you know how you can get your credit right so you can come out and purchase a home with me. So Lori, how are you?
Gotcha, gotcha. Hey, Jason, good to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, no, thank you
This
for
is
being
a
here.
this is a very hot topic that a lot of people get very sensitive about, and it's not something that they have to, shy away from, but it is a conversation that has to be had, especially if they're looking to get something such as a home or security clearance or even renting a property. This has typically been a point where people typically get nervous. So, Jason, I know you have some folks that need this conversation,
Yes,
and we're going to
definitely.
go through just briefly just some tips that some people can do on their own
Okay.
to be able to enhance their own credit. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for credit repair services that promise the world. Well, for one, they can't promise it, but there are some things that you can do that I definitely want to make sure that you are hip to, that you can really get started and get excited about so that you know you've got something in front of you. You know that everything revolves around credit and it's possible. So, Lori Woodruff, real estate specialist and business coach. And most of the time, I'm speaking with clients every single week about this three digits, Jensen. And it's a conversation where people get very nervous about, but they shouldn't really be. So my goal is to make sure that people understand the facts, understand where they can get a copy of their credit report, and really get excited about this whole process. So if you do have some clients that are in motion, this is the time to really start focusing on what is necessary, what is important for you, so that you can really start identifying what needs to get done immediately. And what I will do at the end, Jason, is make sure I share the information so that people can get started
Okay.
on their own journey to get things updated with their own credit. So
Okay,
let me
so
know.
typically when they start working on the stuff for themselves, how long does it typically take for them to see
Mhm.
results?
I'm going to say until, because
Until.
everybody's date is different. It's just
Okay.
like saying if I go to the gym, when am I going to lose this fat? It's about how often have I been in the gym? Am I eating right? And am I showing up for myself? So I don't know. It could be 30 days. It
Okay.
could be longer than that, but it
Right.
just depends on how hungry this person really is to really get on a plan. Most of the time, if I'm talking with the client, I give them a realistic plan on this is the timetable that it could take. Now, there's other variables, as we'll talk about, that will take them past that time. But at the same time, if you're focused and you do what you have to do, we will talk about a specific plan that will work
Mhm.
for you.
Okay.
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 All right. So you see the screen okay?
Yep.
All right. So again, what we're doing is what we're identifying a couple things here, understanding why the credit score matters, especially when you're getting into a home, a car, renting a car, buying, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about three simple tools. Three, that's it, that you
Okay.
can start using today to boost your own credit, to save money, and to see yourself in a better position. Um, One of my clients, I'll just share a quick story before I get started, is this was a senior that was buying a home, but she didn't think she was buying a home. She actually wanted to rent a property.
Mhm.
And when she first came with a realtor, she was just thinking, look, I'm getting denied. My rental applications keep getting denied. I just need to increase my credit score. So on her specific credit, she had a judgment, she had a collection, and a bankruptcy. Now the collection did have a balance on it, and so did the judgment. So there's no promises made, but we have to use support from the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that is factual information. That is all of our rights. We have rights to be able to challenge information on our credit report. So she wasn't even reluctant. She just said, let's do it because she has to find housing. So that particular client came in thinking she's just going to improve the score just to rent a property. She moved her score from a 580 all the way up to a 674. Now, when you think about that, think about the options that changed for her instantly. simply because of 3 digits. So she no longer needed to just rent a property. She went and purchased a property with her realtor.
Okay.
And just with that confidence, you have to understand when you know more and believe in what can happen, then you've got so many opportunities in front of you. So the word of the day is options. And that's what we're really creating as options, Jason, for a lot of your clients to make sure that they know there's there's something in front of them that they want. But if we work together to get a good plan of action, we can see that that actually can happen for them. So
Okay.
yeah, so Jason, I got invited to the housewarming party. There was food all over the place, and she was so proud. And just looking at those type of moments that we get to help clients with, her and her client, excuse me, her and her realtor really changed everything up. Okay.
Okay.
So that's why I do what I do. I love seeing that type of transformation. I've been in the real estate space for 26 years, helping people with personal credit and business credit, and authored a couple of books. And mainly, if you want to get more information on what can you do, I will make sure at the end that I give Jason that information so that you can start this journey on your own. But I do help one-on-one to help out with a lot of people's concerns. Okay, so let's talk about what makes up your credit score first, because a lot of people are not understanding what really makes up that score.
Hmm.
Your score on the low end could range anywhere from 300 and going all the way up to 850 on the high end.
Okay.
And I want you to imagine, if your credit score is low, is that an opportunity for people to give you the best rates? Or is that going to be the low risk or the high risk area?
Right.
Well, that's going to be your high risk area, you
Hmm.
know? So it's not going to be favorable terms. It's not going to be yeses and approvals. You're going to get that wonderful letter in the mail that says, I'm sorry, we're not able to extend credit at this time.
Hmm.
So the goal is to find out. Jason knows all the programs in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, needs to know, what does my score need to be? And I'm here to tell you that your history matters the most. Just like when you go on a job interview and they ask you for your resume, they're looking to see, where have you been? Where have you worked? Do you have
Hmm.
experience for what we're looking to do right now?
Hmm.
So if you take a look at your history, do you have just no history, or do you have just 2 months of credit that you just had? So it's very important to establish a credit card, establish a car loan. Not in many cases because you need all those things. It's simply because you got to play the game.
Yeah.
You got to understand that you've got to do the history. So again, it's just like your resume. Where have you been? Where have you worked? Your credit report makes up the same thing, and they want to see, who have you paid on time?
Okay.
Who has extended credit to you? And
Hmm.
that's the majority of our credit score. Now, the other thing that makes up 30% of our credit score is made up of how much we owe. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people don't think that is very important. So imagine if you had a credit card that has a $1,000 limit, and you consistently keep the balance at $900 or even just $1,000.
Hmm.
That's a problem, because now the credit card company is saying, wow, your utilization is high. You're always using this credit card. So what we're going to do is, if that balance and that limit are always close, then you're going to have a problem with keeping your score at a healthy number.
Okay.
So my suggestion is, whatever your limit is, try to keep your balance at least 10 to 15% of that limit. I know it's hard around the holiday
Right.
time,
Right.
but we can also, that's the main time where people start to see, hey, this is the time where I can put that gift on my credit card.
Hmm.
Well, what you're doing, if you understand that next month you should be paying it down to at least 10 to 15%, if you are strategically looking to increase your score, that's going to be the game.
Okay.
So in that particular instance, if your limit is $1,000, then you need to be keeping that balance around 100, $150.
Hmm.
I know it gets
Okay.
hard. The other thing that makes up your credit score is the length of your credit. All right. Same thing with the payment history, which is very important. The length of your credit history is super important. So just because you have an account and you don't use it that much, just keep the card, but just use it just a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Because if you close accounts, people don't understand this part much neither. They're thinking, well, I don't use this particular card. this Capital One or this Discover. Let me just close it. Well,
Hmm.
that's actually limiting your history now.
Right.
So your credit score would actually go down. So keep the card open, keep the balances low, and that makes up a healthier credit score.
Okay.
New credit makes up 10%, so no need to open up a lot of credit, but just, new credit does take an account and the type of credit that you have.
Hmm.
Whether it's a revolving credit card, revolving R is basically for your credit cards, or I installments. Those are for your accounts that have fixed payments every month, like your car payments
Hmm.
or personal loans. So be mindful of this because your credit score is changing every single month for the good or for the bad. And many times I'm having to talk with people right now. It's the amount owed that just needs to be paid down, Jason, that really can spike their own credit score. You don't need any programs, you don't need any shiny objects to fix your credits.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just a matter of pay down who you owe, and you will start to see within the next 30 days, honestly, you'll see an improvement
Okay.
in your own score. Now, when you start to focus on financing, lenders have programs that they have, and they also have criteria that they need to stick within. So you'll typically find if you need the down payment assistance programs for either FHA or conventional, they're typically looking for at least a 640 or above. So remember we talked about 300 on the low side,
Hmm.
and you can go all the way up to an 850 credit score. So of course you can flex and get all the good rates and all the opportunities with the 800, 850. You can get it all there, the great low interest rates.
Hmm.
But if you were in that range of 500, you can actually buy a home.
Okay.
Will you have the best rate? Probably not the best until you start getting up until at least 640 and above.
Okay.
Can you buy a home with a 580 credit score? Yes, you can.
Okay.
But the higher that you get the credit score, the more opportunities that you'll get for more favorable terms. All right. I did an example just for three different buyers walking into a car dealership, just so that we can see how money floats out the door.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say, when I was younger, buying a car was everything for me because I just wanted the dang car. I didn't know about interest rates. I didn't know over the term of 3, 5, or 7 years what
Right.
that actually was doing. I just wanted the car.
Hmm.
But here's where it breaks down, where you can actually see in simple numbers a $30,000 loan amount. Let's look at buyer A, who has a 580 credit score on the left. In the middle, buyer B walks in that same dealership, 680 credit score,
Hmm.
and buyer C, same person, different person, but with a different score, 780. So if they're all going in for the same car, they're all going to come out with different payments and interest rates simply because of the score. So my suggestion is to know what your credit score is before you walk into any dealership,
Hmm.
because their goal is not to look out for you like Jason would if you was helping you purchase a home.
Right.
That fiduciary responsibility is different. But when you walk into a car dealership, be careful because they're trying to see what fits best for their bottom line.
Hmm.
So look at the APR, the annual percentage rate for buyer A, 14%. They're going to get the highest. They're going to pay more. Having less than perfect credit, and I'm saying anything under a 620 credit score, you're going to pay more.
Right.
And it's more expensive to have less than perfect credit. That person who has a 680 credit score, 7%, they're thinking they're great. It's not bad, it's not double digits.
Hmm.
But the one sitting over in the corner with no problems, and he'll be out of there within 30 minutes, car washed and everything, has a 4% rate.
Hmm.
So as we see at the bottom line here, the monthly payment for the person with a lower credit score is 698. If they didn't know any better, they would be thinking, this is good. I could get a car.
Right. Right.
594 is in the middle for the 680 person. They're leaving out of there paying almost $600. And the lowest payment at 4% is 552.
Right.
So overall, yes, they're going to pay more money, 11,880, 5640, or even 3120. Which one would you rather be in? Okay. So the goal is what needs to be done. Even if you have a 680 credit score, is there room for improvement?
Mhm.
Yes. If you have a 700 credit score, I have some people coming to me with a 700 credit score and they're fanatic about, I want an 800 credit score. They
Now,
know it can be.
is there a drastic difference in interest rates between, say, a 720 and an 800?
No, in some cases, no,
Okay.
because at
Okay.
that point, it now it's just a personal goal just to get there.
Okay.
And and also sometimes there's some incorrect information on our credit reports. Even just correcting information on our credit report is crucial, which could change everything.
Hmm.
It could be a wrong address. They just want to make sure it's correct. They want to make sure, hey, this account doesn't look like mine. I want to make sure it's deleted off the credit report. So it's various things on why. But someone who has a 700 credit score, I promise you, they won't have a problem of getting housing.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to business financing, maybe a little bit different because they may need a 720 or a 740 for some particular programs that they want. But overall, if you're in the 700 club, you should be good to go.
Okay.
You should have A fights. Okay. Now, when it comes to credit, understand no matter what it is today, it could change tomorrow. And if my credit score is a 520 today, I, I'm I'm going to get judged basically off of a low credit score. I'm going to pay more in deposits. I'm going to pay more on my insurance, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And even you turning utilities on, they're going to ask me for a deposit.
Hmm.
So for someone who knows that they're tired of that kind of abuse, this is the time to start focusing on what do I need to do to change that and at least work one by one. And that's what I help a lot of clients do so that they can really start getting a plan together. But not addressing it is not a plan. So
Right.
that's not
Right.
going to be the thing to do. Someone who has a 720 credit score could lose their job and they could be a 520 in a matter of 30 or 60
Hmm.
days simply
Hmm.
because life happens. And so, a lot of times it's not a matter of where you are today, it's a matter of what you're planning to keep and maintain. Because as we see what's happened in the economy, if you lose your job and you are check to check,
Hmm.
you're not able to maintain those bills anymore. So once was a 720, absolutely. When the creditors don't get paid, that 30-day late payment is now going to dip your score.
Okay.
Okay. So not only are we helping people in our team help people get the right credit score, we're also helping them find income sources to make sure if one is not working, then they have another stream of income. So that's a
Hmm.
lot of the other conversation, Jason, that I'm having is making sure they have another stream of valuable income.
Hmm.
Like who lives on one income? I know you don't.
Right. Right.
One is not enough.
No, it's not.
Okay. And if you live in the Maryland, DC area, one is not enough. So we want to make sure that there's plentiful income to make sure that you can pay your bills, go on vacation, and still have money for retirement. So let's talk about three things that you can do. Like I mentioned, I'm going to send Jason this information so you can have it and get started on your own. One of the tips that we can do that you can do on your own is actually report your own rent payments. So imagine paying rent to your property manager or a family member, whoever you're paying it to, and you're not even getting credit for it on your credit history.
Hmm.
Well, Rental Karma is a third party that actually will. So now, however long you've been renting, let's say you've been in your place for 6 years and you're paying $1,800 a month. Well, let's turn that monthly rent into a positive credit history. So what Rental Karma is going to do is once you sign up for the service, and I have the discount code there to save you
Hmm.
some money, this is the only one that has a small fee attached to it, but it's worth it because it allows Rental Karma to get in touch with your property manager,
Hmm.
find out, hey, has this person been late after 30 days? Now, in your rental office, you might be late after 5 days, but
Hmm.
Rental Karma only cares about 30 days or more late. So they're treating it basically like an installment debt, which is
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
So that $1,800, your landlord's going to say, nope, hasn't been late, 6 years, never been late, sign it, and they'll send it back to Rental Karma.
Okay.
When Rental Karma receives it, now they're going to update your client's TransUnion and Equifax report, typically within 7 days.
Okay.
I've seen the credit report spike up 20 to 40 points just by adding their rental history. Sometimes, Jason, this may be enough to get them over the 640 mark that
Hmm.
they need to buy a home
Okay.
with the down payment. And I'm only saying that with the down payment program.
Right.
Yes, you can buy a home with a 580 credit score,
Right.
but if someone is kind of marginal and they're like 560 or 580 and they just need a few points to get into the home program, this might be what they need.
Okay.
The Rental Karma, put the discount code up here to save you some money. I love them. I've done them myself personally, so it works. And it's going to show in your credit report within 7 days.
Hmm.
And you can continuously keep it going. I would say, let's say you have a client that is looking to purchase in July
Hmm.
and it's now March. I would say continue that reporting so that Rental Karma can still stay in touch with your landlord every month just to make sure. Any lates? Nope. Good. Okay. May? Any lates?
Hmm.
So do it all the way until your client goes to closing.
Okay.
That way, it's still reporting a positive trend, and that history is reported on their credit report, which looks amazing.
Okay.
And then once they get into the home with you, Jason, then you can just remind them, hey, don't forget you can cancel
Right.
the rental karma
Right.
plan.
Okay.
All right. So this is a really good one if you know people just need a few more, but might as well get credit for what you're already paying for.
Hmm.
All right, number two, this one is free. Experian Boost is amazing because we're all paying on some kind of bill, whether it's a utility bill, Netflix. This is going to attach to your bank account. Okay,
Okay.
Experian Boost. You just Google that, Experian Boost, basically.com. Now the bills that you're paying on, insurance, utility bills, it's going to grab from what do they see as a trend on your credit report.
Hmm.
Excuse me, on your bank statement. So if you have your Navy Federal, your Chase, or your Bank of America attached, it's going to recognize, it uses AI
Hmm.
to recognize all of the patterns of your insurance, the utility bills, whatever you commonly pay on. And
Okay.
it's only going to add the positive information, which
Okay.
is great. So it's completely free. It's going to add the positive information onto your credit report. This one can easily see up to 13 points simply by doing this. Again, Experian Boost is saying thank you just for your regular payments that you may get a payment on.
Okay.
Okay. So Experian Boost is good. You taking notes, Jason? you
Mental notes. Mental
taking
notes.
notes? Because these are good ones for your
Yeah,
folks when you start
definitely.
seeing them come through your way.
Definitely.
And the last one is self. Self is a wonderful credit building system. So this is really good for individuals who don't have a lot of credit.
Okay.
And self allows you to choose a package, A, B, or C. So whatever the payment option is that's comfortable for you, whether it's $25 a month, $50 a month, or 75, how it's going to show up on your credit report, it looks like a revolving credit line. You can't touch it,
Hmm.
but because you're making these 25 or 50 or $75 a month payments, that payment that you're doing is being recorded as if it's a loan, as if it's
Okay.
a credit line. All right. So this is really good to help build positive credit for those that need more credit.
Hmm.
All right. So these are three things that you can do on your own. And I want to remind you that Fair Credit Reporting Act also supports disputing negative things. So if you have negative items on your credit report, if it's late payments, if it's a collection, even with a balance,
Hmm.
student loans with a balance, child support, bankruptcies, just like the story I shared with you, that lady that called me that just simply wanted to rent a property, all three of those things were deleted. Her collection, her judgment, and her bankruptcy, they were all deleted in her first 30 days
Hmm.
of disputing.
Okay.
That's why her score spiked up almost 100 points. So just think about that for a moment. We're not saying those things never existed,
Hmm.
but the Fair Credit Reporting Act says, did these creditors call you and ask to be placed on your credit report? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no.
Hmm.
So if something is on your credit report, yes, you can challenge any negative item, whether it's one late payment from 3 years ago
Hmm.
or it was a late payment from last month.
Okay.
It's in your best interest to get the disputing service so that you can clean up what's on there. Because remember, we're judged by what's on our reports.
Right.
Now, what I make payments on is a different story. I'm not saying don't pay your bills.
Hmm.
Those are between you and the creditor, but does
Hmm.
it have to report on your credit report
Right.
is what the disputing process is all about.
Okay.
And I love doing that for individuals because it's simply, cleaning up a lot of things such as collections, bankruptcies that could remove the discrimination and the
Hmm.
judgment of them getting not approved or approved for something.
Okay.
So if that's something that you think that we need for your client, then of course I will speak with your client and see if that is something. Now we typically go through the free things first to see pay down your credit.
Hmm.
Uh, Try using Self or Experian Boost or Rental Karma. We try to do that first. And if it's at the point where we still need to do something more major, then we'll
Hmm.
do the disputing process. And that process could run about $200.
Okay.
And that way, that process can get started and just get a lot of stuff off your back.
Okay. So do you
Okay.
offer actual credit repair services yourself besides
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
disputing?
Well, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So credit
Okay.
repair is technically illegal, but
Gotcha.
the disputing process is basically the repair service.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So that
Okay.
way, yes, the things can be removed. Um, Now, when something is removed, I'll give you a secret to that. When you have something removed from your credit report and you've got ABC Collection calling you,
Mhm.
here's one thing that you may not want to do. You may not want to reintroduce that collection back again. And some people are like, well, how did the collection come off, but then it came back on?
Hmm.
Okay, well, I'll give you a secret to that. Two ways that that can happen is if someone calls you from ABC Collection and they say, hello, is this Jason Jones? If you affirm, yes, I am Jason, what do you want? Then that debt is now alive again.
Okay.
So whatever they're hitting in the computer, boom, it's refreshed. It's still going on. Okay.
Okay.
That is one way. Another way that people see credit, they see the debt come back on their credit report is if they pay it. And I hate to say it that way. But imagine you had a $200 collection that was on your report, you didn't even know about it.
Hmm.
And you just pay it. So now when you have paid it, what's going to happen is your credit score will go down, but now it's even though it could have been deleted off your credit report,
Hmm.
now that you've paid it, it's now going to show up on the report as paid collection.
Okay.
So it could reappear, even if it was taken off a while
Hmm.
ago. So one of the things you want to make sure that when you are settling debt, let's say that same $200 debt, what I would do is I would ask the representative, hey, what's the lowest that you can go on this particular collection?
Hmm.
All right. And they'll give you some offer. Some will, some won't, but most will.
Hmm.
So they'll say, well, if you're able to pay this today, Miss Woodruff, we'll take $80. Got it. All right. Are
Hmm.
you are you going to pay with a Visa or MasterCard? I'm like, all right, let me ask you this second question.
Hmm.
This is the most important thing. Will you delete this off my credit report if I pay you the $80? And
Right.
that's the thing that most people don't do.
Hmm.
They just stop at part one and they just say, all right, I'll give you the $80. Great. Thank you. Okay. And they assume it's all taken care of.
Hmm.
So part two of that is, yes, I'll give you the $80. Please send me something in writing, whether it's an email or to my mail it to me. But I need you to say that you will delete this from all three credit bureaus.
Okay.
Some will, some won't, but you've got to ask.
Hmm.
So if that debt, that if they say, yes, Miss Woodruff, we will take your $80 and we will delete it from all three credit reports.
Okay.
That's what you want.
Right.
Because if they don't and they just take the $80, now it's taking my score down because I just paid a collection. Remember from the beginning, we said your history matters.
Hmm.
So that history was okay, but you just now closed that collection. So it's not there.
Okay.
Well, it is there, but it's closed.
Right.
So your credit score will actually go down. So for some people having the misconception, well, I paid the collection, it should go up.
Hmm.
Not all the time,
Okay.
but you do have to ask them, please delete it, and that really helps.
Okay.
Credit disputing process is the last part. If the company says, no, Miss Woodruff, sorry, we don't pay for deletion, that's
Hmm.
what they call it. We're going to keep it on there, no problem. My secondary backup is to do the credit disputing because now the credit disputing process could potentially sweep and delete that off, even if the company told me no.
Okay.
So there's always a way to win through this process. So paying collections, do it. I would say yes, go ahead, but just make sure if you're strategically looking to do something with your credit, just talk to a representative first so that the plan can make sense. Because if you're just like, all right, I'm about to buy a home, I'm going to pay all these collections, we
Hmm.
need to talk first before you
Right.
do that. Because if
Right.
you do that, you could dip your score down lower, and some things you may not have to pay right now.
Okay.
Okay. So that's just a tip that I share with a lot of clients, but right now, money is the name of the game.
Hmm.
So most of the conversations that I'm having is what other things can be done to bring more income in the household. That's another way we need to have a conversation to see what are your strengths, what other things can be done to help pay your lifestyle and to pay your bills, and then of course to have money to buy your home.
Right. Okay.
All right. All right. So consistency always wins. We'll wrap up with this. Pay your bills on time, pay it before the due date. Monitor your credit. And Identity IQ is the company that I use to pull credit. So Credit Karma, won't even look at that. It's not even a fair share on your credit report. I use Identity IQ. That way, if you monitor your credit, you'll always be firsthand knowing if something is deleted, if something has been updated, or if someone fraudulently is trying to take your credit.
Hmm.
So always good to know firsthand. So I
Yeah.
use Identity
One
IQ. And
second, my
again, that
battery is
information.
dying on me. Hold on.
Okay. And the small actions that you do over the next couple of days is a big improvement of what you can do. Choose at least one thing that you're going to do.
Okay.
And if it's going to be rental karma, you good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm good. Yep.
Okay.
Battery was dying on me.
Experience boost or self, those are crucial things that you can do to commit to getting your game plan together. Okay.
Okay.
And I will definitely make sure that I make myself available for getting any type of information that you need, whether it's credit enhancements, whether
Hmm.
it's I need to make more money, or we just need to get a plan together before Jason and I go out looking. Because Jason's not going to show me properties without some kind of letter from a lender saying all is good.
Right,
So
right.
I thank you so much, Jason. Did you have any questions for me?
Well, you've just showed how they can get in contact with you. So what I'm going to do is if anybody decides to do one of your programs or do the credit dispute, I will pay for it at closing if you purchase a house with me. So
Uh-oh.
that's that. I hope everybody got something out of the webinar. If you have any
Thank
questions,
you.
give me a call. You can call Lori and let's go get you a house.
Let's get it. Let's get it. My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Jason, for bringing
All
me
right.
on.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care.
All
Bye-bye, you
right.
guys.
Bye.